Karen West, and today I have the honor and the privilege to speak with Shahid the Ambassador. So tell me, why the moniker the Ambassador?
Well, the name or the moniker, the ambassador, it points to one's character or job or objective, right? So when you're talking about an ambassador, you're talking about one that's knowledgeable or rooted in a certain knowledge, and they're able to take that knowledge to the people. But the people that they take it to, they have to understand the culture. So actually they become a nexus between that knowledge and the people. Now, there's a lot of ministers, a lot of reverends. I don't consider myself to be in that mode, but my job is to be a connection or a nexus for the people in one arena and another. My arena can be those that are in the streets, those that are in impoverished communities, those that are in the penitentiaries. And my job is to connect them, but connect them not with something that's unsound, but to connect them with something that's rooted in truth. So Shahid the Ambassador is something I'm trying to become, I'm working to become, but I'm doing it always.
For those who are unfamiliar with you, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
I'm a son, a father, a cousin, a friend. I'm a student, but at the same time, I guess I'm working to become a leader, a teacher, a guide. I'm a rebel, but I'm working to be submissive to God, to my nature, and to my people.
What are some of the experiences that you've had that have truly impacted your life or added to your life?
I mean, there's so many experiences, right? So many. Like, whenever you see a finished product, like a picture, right? It's like you see a finished product or you see a project at that point, but it's based off what you understand at the point that you see the picture. And when an artist communicates and they communicate through their art, it's usually based off everything that they've been through. That got them to the point where they create the art the way that they did it or that they've done it. So life has impacted. It's so much stuff that's played a part. My upbringing, my friends, my family, the ebbs and flows of life. I've been to college. I've been to the penitentiary. I've been in the streets. I lived in the city. I lived in the suburbs. So there's a wide range of things that I'm able to communicate through me. So everything about me is how can I say this? I guess I'm everything at this point now of what I'm supposed to be. So life has impacted me. Every aspect of my life has impacted me. Every aspect.
Okay, so you mentioned that you were incarcerated.
I was.
How long were you incarcerated?
3,100 days, 8.5 years.
Oh, wow. What were some of the things that discouraged you or motivated you during that time?
No discouraging, right? The Quran and Scripture itself teaches us not to be hopeless, right? So I never was discouraged because I understood that the Creator permitted me to go through a process that was meant to mold and shape me into what I was supposed to become. I guess, and I'm not even that thing now. I'm still working to become that thing. So no discouraging. There was no discouraging. And what was the other part of the question?
What motivated you during that time?
My downfall, putting myself in a position to be incarcerated in the first place. What motivated me was my flaws, the desire and the need to understand that I needed to work towards professional, whether that's ever achieved or not. So my motivation was to become who Allah created me to be. I needed to be able to reflect it or manifest in my person, my nature. My nature is to be upright. That uprightness is not from just a religious perspective, but that uprightness is to be an extension of the people, to be rooted in the people. My extension or my nature is to be connected to the people and allow all of us to do my part to make sure all of us are connected to the Creator.
What were some of the programs that you participated in while you were incarcerated?
Good question. When I was first arrested, and I came to conclude what I was being arrested for, I turned to the Creator in my mind first, right? But then I physically turned to a brick wall and I stared it down. Right? And I remember a scripture from Bible. I think it was Jesus, peace and blessing be upon him. I think he said it according to the scripture, the Bible. He said, whatever your will is, let it be done. So I said the same thing. And this was February 21st, 2012. I told God, whatever your will is, allow it to be done. And I laid down on the cot or the steel bed. And I allowed from that point to take me down the path of growth. You know what I mean?
Do you feel that what you got while you were incarcerated prepared you to reintegrate back into society?
No, because even at that point, when I told God let His will be done in my person, the first thing that I asked my Father for, and He can bear witness to you if you ever get a chance to communicate with Him, I asked Him for my Bible and my Quran, right? And He sent me both, right? Both the same color, both green. He had my stepmother, my second mother send it to me. So I began at that point to change because I began to, for one, adapt to my environment, not the environment that I was in, but the environment itself, right? So I began to attach myself, the tentacles in me, to the truth that came from the scripture. And I tried to become the scripture. Not outwardly, because that's a facade, that's a show, right? That's what everybody does now. I tried to make that become me from day two. And I worked, so I fed myself. I fed myself with the books. I fed myself with scripture, I think for the first 6 or 9 months, and then I allowed other books to come into my cipher.
Do you think the system prepares other inmates to reintegrate into society?
No, not at all. It's just, they set them down. They want time, right? They're not developing or rehabilitating. I think that's the word that they use. The rehabilitation didn't come from what they gave me. It came from what my Father taught me. So what I seemed like I disregarded for so long, I actually had so rooted in me that I just reached into myself and pulled it out. Because the system that I saw was so corrupt, inside and out. Both are reflections of each other. They mimic each other. So where there used to be programs like programs that would give the brothers trade to help them reintegrate into society, all they want is time. So they'll sit you in a room, sit you in housing units, allow you to sit in cells for hours upon days, upon weeks. But they don't give you anything to allow you to grow. So no, the system does not aid us in being rehabilitated at all.
So what changes would you like to see in the system?
That's a loaded question. That is a loaded question. But I'm going to be honest, because my daddy told me always speak truth, right? I would like to see the system fall. I would like to see it not stand anymore. Because the system that's in place right now has no way of rehabilitating. It has no way of connecting. It has no way of making us better inside the penitentiary nor outside. So I would like to see it fall, and I would like to see a new one constructed on its ashes.
Okay, so we'll get back to you. Could you tell us about your work that you're trying to do?
Well, to be honest with you, I think I've been home not even 40 days, right? I'm working with 2 nonprofits. Glass Ink Youth Project, the Glass Ink Youth Project, and also a few good brothers and sisters, community ministry. So my work is in or directly connected with the people but we also into building a community through CDEP 2020, through Osirion Solutions INC, through up and comers, through young execs, just finding a way to link and connect brothers, not to where we just become brands, right? We don't want to be brands. We don't want to be that. We want to be vanguards. We want to be pillars in our community, because for so long, I think it's about 460 years now, so we've been herded to be a certain way, socially engineered to be how we are. So we see the effect, right? The effect of what we've been trained or made to be. So my work is with the people. My work is with family. My work is with rebuilding. Hold on, let's not say rebuilding, because we never had community. So my work is to help build a real community, a nation or a place fulfilled or filled with common unity. I think that's, when you break the word down, is what it's supposed to mean. We've never had that since we've been here.
What do you feel like you need to have that common unity?
Well, the knowledge of self, right? People always throw that out so loosely. Self-knowledge, self-knowledge, self-knowledge. And a lot of people use it and they made it cheap. But actually everything that we need is rooted there. Because when our nature is directly connected or directly rooted in the God or with the God, then we have to begin to accept who we are. And once we accept who we are, we begin to work in the direction of actually fulfilling what we are supposed to be. People say, I am, I be, like I exist. We don't exist until we actually carry out our nature, until we actually act in accordance with it. So we still just trying to be. We still working to be. And some of us so lost that we may never be. But the people need to know self. We need to know who we are, because then we'll appreciate each other. Because when self knows self, self doesn't hate self. When self knows his brother, self doesn't hate his brother, because he knows his brother is only a reflection of himself. So self-knowledge is where it starts. Because it allows us to look, right? It allows us to look in those instructions that were given. And we can use the Bible for an example, right? When you look in Genesis, in the early portion of it, it said, be fruitful and multiply. On the most base level, a lot of brothers say, see, I'm supposed to produce or make babies. But to multiply doesn't just mean that. It means to be builders of the world around you, right? And when I sit back and I analyze the world, when I've sat back and reflected for so long and so many years, I said it doesn't matter what arena you put yourself in, whether it's religion, whether it's politics or politics, or whether it's economics or school. Everything goes back to economics. All of it. Empires have built and destroyed based off economics. So we have to go back there. Because economics is not just this fiat money that we see. Economics is how much love to give, how much love to receive. It's balancing out the world around you.
What sparked you to do this work?
I think it was rooted in me, right? So the spark, it's your nature. Like your nature is to be upright. But then in scripture, and I'm speaking specifically about the Holy Quran, right? It says that Allah breathed something of himself into that creation, that early creation. So that early creation, right? That early being, or that early God on the lower level, that early God has something of the God breathed into him. So the spark was already put in us when we were created. So from that first set of beings, or those first humans, or those first gods, right? everything that they had in them trickled down to us. So the spark was already there. I didn't have to create anything. It's just that the environment or the circumstances around me forced me to have to go in myself to pour out what the Creator already put in. I think hopefully that's clear.
So who are you looking to impact, or what are you looking to add to those you're working for?
You know, I'm gonna be honest. You know, just taking the back, to being able to sit down for the few days I was sitting down, I was able to look out, right? You was able to be inside of a thing, caged in the thing, but you was able to look out. Like I was able to look out. And in the looking out, I see the need for men to be men. But I'm not specifically speaking about the older ones. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because they've given us examples that we can improve upon, not for us to judge them, but for us to see. So when I see the greatest need or the greatest group that needs to be impacted, in the streets we call them the shorties. Mm-hmm. It's with them that the work needs to be done, because they are the vanguards. They are the builders. And in reality, they are the protectors of what we're trying to build. So the energy that they have is not necessarily bad. It just needs to be directed to actually produce what their nature teaches that they should produce. So if I had to say who is the number one group that I wanted to impact, it would be the youth, the male youth.
What would you like to add to the lives of those that you're serving, as well as those you're working alongside?
I'm just hoping that God makes me an example, because we need more examples. And I'm hoping that in my example, because I don't need to be held on any pedestal, I'm just hoping that my example can spark something in the next generation that calls them to take my example and the good examples around us to take us and carry us through the pain that we're about to endure. So I just want to be an example. I don't need any acclaim. I don't even want it. I just want to spark somebody or some shorty to be what he's supposed to be.
I have one last question. If you could sit down and have a conversation with anyone, past or present, who would it be and why?
The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the Minister Farrakhan, and I would want to have a conversation with the God, with the God.
Could you give me, explain why for each one?
Well, I was born in 1982, and I think that's the year that my father told me that he began to go and really focus a lot of attention on learning the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So it's the same year that I was born that he actually put himself in that arena. So from day one, it was always rooted in me. So I think that what he did and what he gave to us as a people, for one, you can't put a price on it. The value is uncalculable. And what he produced in the minister, who I believe is a reflection of him, makes me want to not just represent them, but learn from the mind, because I see what's produced. I see what's been produced. And I don't see anybody else, groups, organization, that has produced what he has produced. So that's why. But the Quran says that Allah is the best knower. To get the opportunity to actually talk to the God is an opportunity I don't think anybody would pass up. So that's why I would want to sit down with the God, because there's so much that I want to ask him. Mm-hmm. There's so much that I want to know. I think it's Philippians 2:5. we're told to have the mind of Christ, who was an actual reflection, on a lesser degree, to the mind of God. And what was produced through that mind was amazing. So if he's a reflection of a greater mind, I definitely want to talk to that mind. So that's why.
Shahid the Ambassador, thank you for this wonderful opportunity. And is there anything else you would like to tell the people?
Seek refuge in Allah. Seek refuge in Allah.
My love must be a kind of blind love. I can't see anyone but you. I only have eyes for.
Hold on, is that a bloody old roach?
That is a roach.
Man, you need to call Doracos.
Who?
Doracos Pest Control Service.
Doracos Pest Control has been serving Chicagoland and the surrounding area since 1976. We've delivered the highest quality service and value to our customers in residential, commercial, and industrial locations. We'll provide accurate inspections, treatment recommendations, and customer follow-ups. Call us today and one of our knowledgeable trained technicians will arrive at your door to address any and all of your pest concerns.
Call Doracos for all your
Pest control.
Swap.
Doracos Pest Control Service. When we stop the first one, you won't have to worry about the first 1,000.